Hi, everyone. Uh, Already yours, not almost yours, not approaching yours, not in the process of becoming yours if certain conditions are met and certain thresholds are crossed and certain stars align in the particular configuration that would finally make it official. Already in the invisible world, in the place where things are decided before they are delivered, what you have been desiring has been decided in your favor. The decision was made before you arrived at this reading. The arrival of this reading is simply the moment you are being told. That is the specific and unusual quality of what Spirit is bringing through today. Not the promise of something approaching, but the announcement of something that has already been secured in the invisible and is now making its way into the visible. And the someone who is carrying it toward you, who has decided, who has committed, who is in the process of offering what you have been wanting with a completeness and a sincerity that the desire itself was always pointing toward, is already in motion, already moving in your direction, already carrying the specific thing that your heart has known it wanted, even on the days when wanting felt like a luxury the circumstances could not support. Take what is yours today, and I mean that phrase with its full, literal, this belongs to you weight. What resonates, let it settle, not as hope, but as confirmation. What does not, release it gently. But for those of you who felt something shift when I said already yours, who felt the specific quality of a recognition landing somewhere below the mind, in the body, in the place where the true things register before the analytical ones, this reading is the confirmation you have been waiting for. Let me speak about desire first, because what is being offered today is something you have been wanting specifically, not vaguely, in the particular and located way of a desire that has a shape and a direction and does not respond to the substitutes that have been offered in its place. This desire has been with you, has been present through the seasons when the wanting felt impractical, and through the seasons when it felt like the most honest thing about you, and through everything in between. It has not diminished, has not been redirected by the reasonable arguments the mind occasionally assembles for why wanting something particular is less wise than wanting something general. It has remained specific, pointed, yours. Soft sigh. That specificity, the fact that the desire has a clear shape and has maintained that shape through everything, is itself significant, because desires that are genuine maintain themselves. They do not require constant renewal or performance or the deliberate re-choosing of what to want. They simply persist in the quiet and the honest moments, in the 3 in the morning clarity where what is truly wanted lives without the editing of daylight self consciousness. Yours has persisted, and its persistence is the evidence that it was never wishful thinking, was always the accurate signal of something real that belonged to you. Now it is being offered by someone who has arrived through their own process, their own journey, their own honest reckoning with what they carry and what they want to do with it at the specific place of readiness to offer it. Not hesitantly, not with one hand forward and one held back, with the full open-handed quality of someone who has decided that what they are bringing is worth giving completely, and that the person they are bringing it to is worth the completeness. You are worth the completeness. That is what Spirit is pressing most insistently today. Not just that something is being offered, but the specific reason it is being offered in the way it is being offered. Because the quality of the offering, the completeness, the openness, the nothing held back sincerity of it is a direct response to the quality of who you are, is proportionate to what this person has encountered in you and what that encounter has produced in them. Has produced a quality of wanting to give that is equal to the quality of what they found, which is to say, considerable. Hear them today, because their voice is pressing forward and needs to reach you in the form closest to how it actually lives in the person carrying it toward you. I want to give you this not because the giving serves something I need, not as a transaction, not as the opening move of something strategic, because I have been sitting with what I feel for you and what I want to bring into the space between us. And I have arrived at the understanding that the only honest response to what I feel is this: the offering of the specific thing that I know you have been wanting, not because you told me in words, but because the wanting is visible to anyone who is paying the quality of attention to you that I have been paying. The wanting lives in you plainly, in how you move, in what animates you, in the specific quality of aliveness that the subject of what you desire produces in you when it comes close enough to touch. I have been watching that aliveness, and I have been wanting to be the one who produces it, not accidentally, not as a byproduct of something else deliberately, intentionally, as the specific and chosen act of someone who has decided that bringing you what you desire is not just something they want to do, but something they are committed to doing. For as long as the offering is received, with as much of themselves as the receiving requires, without the rationing that fear tends to install in the gap between what is felt and what is given. Oh, feel the quality of that intention, because that is not the language of someone who is offering something casually, who is extending something in the hope of receiving something equivalent in return. That is the language of someone who has made a specific and genuine decision about what they want to bring into your life, and who is bringing it not from the place of what it might produce for them, but from the place of what it means to give something real to someone who deserves it. Now, I want to speak about what is already yours, because the alreadiness of it deserves its own honest attention. Spirit does not use that word accidentally. Already implies that the decision was made before the delivery, that the outcome was settled in the invisible world before it became visible in the practical one. And what that means for you practically in the daily experience of your life is that what is coming is not contingent, is not dependent on a perfect alignment of conditions or a perfectly timed response or any specific behavior on your part that would earn what is being offered. soft sigh. It is already decided. On their side, in the invisible. And what is now happening is simply the delivery, the moving of what has been decided from the place of decision into the place of expression. From the interior of someone who has made up their mind into the shared space between you, where what they have decided becomes something you can actually feel and respond to and build from. The delivery is in motion. That is what Spirit is confirming today. Not that something is being considered, not that something is forming, not that something may arrive if the conditions cooperate. That what you have desired is already in the process of being given by someone who has decided, who is moving, who is carrying what they intend to offer with the specific, unhurried, I know where I am going momentum of someone whose direction is clear and whose commitment to it is settled. Now, the question, and Spirit is pressing this as the most important question in the reading, is not whether it is coming, it is whether you are ready to receive it without redirecting it into something smaller than what it is. Because the specific and somewhat ironic challenge of receiving what you have genuinely desired is this: the desiring happens in the open, in the honest, in the this is what I actually want place. But the receiving can happen in a contracted, defended, is this real and can I trust it place that is calibrated to something smaller than the size of the offering. That holds the desired thing at a slight remove while it checks for the flaw, while it assesses whether the offer is as real as it appears, while it protects itself from the full impact of receiving something it has wanted, because the full impact of receiving something wanted is itself a kind of vulnerability that protection seeks to prevent. Do not protect yourself from this. That is the specific invitation, the most important one of today's reading. Not recklessly, not with the suspension of all discernment in the warmth of an offering that feels good, but genuinely in the specific, grounded, I am going to let this actually reach me way of someone who has done enough work to know the difference between something real and something performed, and who has now, in front of something real, given themselves permission to receive it without the armor. The armor was built for other situations, for offerings that did not match their presentation, for the times when what was given looked like what you desired but carried something different inside. What is coming now is not that. What is coming now has the specific quality of something that matches what it presents, that is as real on the inside as it appears on the outside. And receiving it with the armor in place would be the specific and unfortunate mistake of protecting yourself from the very thing you have been wanting. Open in the specific, measured, I know my own worth way of someone who opens not from desperation but from genuine readiness, who receives not from hunger but from the grounded, self-possessed quality of someone who has always known that what they desire belongs to them, and who is now, finally, in the position of receiving the confirmation of what they always knew. Congratulations, not as a pleasantry, as the specific acknowledgement of something that has been won, not through luck, not through the favorable alignment of external circumstances, but through the sustained, unglamorous, entirely yours work of being exactly who you are and allowing that to be sufficient, of wanting what you wanted without editing it into something more modest, of holding the desire with the specific fidelity of someone who trusted that what they wanted was real and was coming even on the days when the evidence was thin. Soft sigh. The evidence is no longer thin. It is arriving in the form of someone who has decided, who is moving, who is carrying what you have desired toward you with the open hands and the settled intention of someone who is not testing or hedging or protecting the offering with conditions you cannot yet see. It is already yours. It has already been decided. And the rose in this reading's energy, the specific, ancient, entirely unambiguous symbol of love, offered freely and without reservation, is the form that Spirit chose to confirm it. Not given reluctantly, not extended with conditions attached, simply offered to you by someone whose hands are full of what you have been wanting and whose only remaining question is whether you are ready to receive it. Who? Are you ready? Not in the performed sense, in the actual present, I am here and I am open sense of someone who has arrived at this moment with enough of themselves intact to receive something real without it passing through. Without the familiar habit of holding good things lightly in case they turn out to be temporary. With the full, both hands completely yourself receiving of someone who finally completely believes they are allowed to have what they have always wanted. You are allowed. You have always been allowed. And what is coming toward you now, already decided, already in motion, already carrying the specific thing your desire has been pointing toward, is the world's way of confirming what was always true. Receive it completely as yours because it already is. If this reading found you at exactly the right moment, if something here confirmed what some part of you already knew was coming and gave you the permission to fully believe it, stay close, subscribe, and come back. Because the story of receiving what was always yours and everything that becomes possible when you finally let it fully arrive is one worth witnessing all the way through. And the next reading will be there for every beautiful step of the receiving.